What if I told you that the most important battle for next year's harvest doesn't begin in spring, but right now, under the grey autumn sky? Many gardeners believe that once the last apple is picked, the season is officially over. But it's the mistakes made during these final warm weeks that can cost you half of your future flowers and vegetables. Today, we're bringing you a complete checklist. 12 essential garden tasks to tackle before the first snow flies. We'll go through each point, and I promise you'll discover at least one secret that will save your plants, or even your wallet. Many view autumn garden work as simply cleaning up after a party, but in reality, it's more like setting the stage for next year's grand premiere. Every step you take now is laying the foundation for the health, beauty, and bounty of your future garden. It's a quiet, yet incredibly important dialogue with nature, where you help her prepare for her winter slumber, ensuring she awakens in spring, full of vigour. So, where do we kick off our big autumn preparations? Of course, with the most enjoyable part, gathering the last bounties of the waning season. Don't rush to put away your baskets and buckets just yet. Your garden is still full of surprises. Think of it as a final quest, where the most valuable treasures are often the best hidden. Walk through your plot with a keen eye. Perhaps a late-season zucchini is lurking under a broad leaf. Or maybe, at the very top of the apple tree, that perfect rosy apple is waiting just for you. Make sure to check your root vegetables. Carrots, beets, parsnips. It's in autumn that they accumulate their maximum sugars, making them incredibly sweet and flavourful. Late-season cabbage, pumpkins that have ripened in the sun. All of these need to be harvested before the first hard frosts. Even herbs like parsley or rosemary might still offer you a burst of fresh aroma. Don't leave anything in the beds. Every forgotten fruit or vegetable is a potential feast for pests and a breeding ground for diseases next year. So, our first task isn't just about harvesting. It's an act of caring for the future of your garden. We're taking everything valuable for ourselves, leaving no opportunity for pests or diseases. Examine every bush, every branch. You might be surprised how much you can still find. This final act not only replenishes your stores, but also serves as the crucial first step towards a healthy garden next season. You've just brought your baskets, full to the brim, into the house. Job done, you might think? Not so fast. Now comes the most crucial moment, one that will determine how long your stored produce actually lasts. It's time for ruthless sorting. Trust me, this is even more vital than the harvest itself. Imagine just one potato with late blight, nestled among a sack of otherwise perfect spuds. Within a couple of months, it will infect all its neighbours, and you risk losing your entire harvest. Therefore, before you store anything, give every single fruit and root vegetable a thorough audition. Look for any suspicious spots, bruises, cuts, or signs of pest activity. Anything with even the slightest blemish should be set aside. These less than perfect items should be processed or used immediately. Turn them into juice, puree, a soup base, or just enjoy them for dinner. For long-term storage, select only the absolutely healthy, firm, and intact candidates. This simple procedure is the best insurance for your winter cellar. Now that our harvest is safely gathered and sorted, it's time to take a good look at the garden beds themselves. They're looking a bit tired and dishevelled after a long, productive summer, aren't they? And this is exactly where many gardeners make a crucial mistake, thinking, "Oh, I'll just deal with the cleanup in spring." But that's the wrong approach. Right now, we're moving on to one of the most critical stages, the big fall cleanup. And make no mistake, this isn't just about making things look tidy. This is a crucial sanitation operation. Think of your garden as a living organism that needs to be prepared for its long winter's nap. Every fallen, diseased leaf, every forgotten rotten berry hidden under a bush. These aren't just mere bits of debris. They're an ideal winter haven for fungal spores and pest larvae. They'll cosy up there for the winter, ready to launch a fresh assault on your young plants with renewed vigour come spring. So, grab your rakes and methodically go over your entire garden plot. Gather any fallen fruit under trees. Rake up all the leaves, especially those showing signs of disease, like apple scab or powdery mildew. And don't forget that crucial final weeding. Right now, in autumn, the roots of perennial weeds are weakened, making them much easier to remove permanently. This isn't just routine garden work, it's your strategic strike against future problems. Now let's talk about the most crucial part of our garden cleanup, something many gardeners simply cut down and leave right in their beds. I'm talking about plant debris. Things like spent tomato and potato plants, cucumber and zucchini vines, and withered annual flower stalks. To you, it might look like mere garden waste, but for blight, powdery mildew, cladosporium, and dozens of common garden pests, it's a 5-star, all-inclusive resort for the entire winter. By leaving them in your garden beds, you're essentially setting a ticking time bomb. With the first warmth of spring, this entire army of diseases and pests will wake up and hungrily descend upon your young, vulnerable plants. This is precisely why you can't afford to be lazy. Ruthlessly pull out, cut down, and remove absolutely everything that has finished its season from your garden beds. Every single stalk left behind is a risk. Now, once you've accumulated a veritable mountain of this garden waste, a logical question arises: what do you do with it? To the compost pile, naturally, so nothing goes to waste, right? Well, here's where you're in for a big surprise. Everything you clear out goes into the compost bin, right? Think again. This is one of the most common and dangerous myths in gardening. The golden rule for autumn cleanup is simple: only absolutely healthy plant material should ever go into your compost pile. Tomato or potato plants afflicted with blight, cucumber leaves showing powdery mildew, apple branches with scab, none of this should ever be composted. The problem is, the average home compost pile rarely gets hot enough. We're talking 60 to 70 degrees Celsius to truly kill off disease spores and pathogens. As a result, instead of creating nutrient-rich fertilizer, you're effectively building a biological time bomb. Come spring, spreading this compost onto your garden beds means you'll be actively reinfecting your entire plot. So what should you do with diseased plants? You have 2 safe and effective options. The first, and often best, is to burn them. Fire is guaranteed to eradicate any disease. If bonfires aren't allowed where you live, your second option is to bag up the disease remnants in strong sacks and dispose of them as general waste off your property. However, healthy carrot tops, sunflower stalks, or grass clippings, those can confidently go into your compost bin. That's your future black gold for your garden beds right there. Okay, we've got the vegetable garden covered. Now, let's turn our attention to those who stay with us through the long winter, our perennial plants. These are the steadfast soldiers of our garden, but even they need our help to survive the cold and greet spring in all their glory. Flowers, ornamental grasses, shrubs, all of them require a special, individualized approach. Imagine you're sending them on a long journey. You need to pack their bags properly and make sure they have enough strength for the trip. That's precisely what full perennial care is all about. If we neglect this, we risk finding only withered remnants instead of lush, thriving plants come spring. So what exactly does this preparation entail? First and foremost, it's proper pruning. Next, for the more delicate varieties, creating a reliable winter shelter. Additionally, feeding them with special autumn fertilizers. These will help strengthen their root systems without encouraging new, tender growth that would be vulnerable to the coming frosts. Each plant species has its own preferences, and our task is to take them all into account. Let's begin with the first and most crucial step: pruning. Let's begin with pruning. This is arguably the most crucial fall chore for most perennial flowers. Why is it necessary? The fact is, the above-ground parts of the plant which bloomed and delighted us all summer have fulfilled their purpose by fall. They begin to wither and become easy targets for rot and diseases, especially under a blanket of snow. By cutting them back, we not only tidy up the garden, but also redirect all the plant's energy to where it's needed most during winter, its roots. Grab your sharp pruners and let's get to work. Peonies, phloxes, irises, hostas, astilbes, daylilies. All these popular perennials benefit from a low cutback. Cut the stems almost to the ground, leaving small stubs about 2 to 4 inches tall. This helps you locate the plant in spring and avoids damaging new growth. This radical haircut isn't cruelty, it's an act of care. It helps the plant conserve energy, improves air circulation around the crown, and significantly reduces the risk of fungal diseases. But what about the more delicate residents of our garden, the ones truly vulnerable to harsh winter frosts? I'm talking, of course, about roses, big-leaf hydrangeas, clematis, and other tender plants. Simply pruning them isn't enough. They require proper winter protection, and this is where rushing becomes our biggest enemy. The most common mistake is to cover plants too early, especially during warm, damp weather. Imagine putting on a heavy winter coat in October. You'd get too hot, sweat, and eventually catch a cold. The same principle applies to your plants. When covered too soon, they can start to sweat and rot from dampness. The bark begins to decay, and fungal diseases flourish. In fact, such a plant is more likely to die from rot and disease than from the cold itself. So, remember this golden rule. We're protecting against hard freezes, not just chilly weather. Wait for stable, light frost to set in, when nighttime temperatures consistently drop to around -5 to -7 degrees Celsius, or 23 to 19 degrees Fahrenheit. This brief exposure to light frost will actually toughen up your plants, making them more resilient. Only after this hardening off period should you begin constructing their winter shelter using spruce branches, frost cloth, or other suitable protective materials. Patience is truly the key to successfully wintering your beloved garden plants. Представете си, това е като точна рецепта, където всяка съставка е важна. Този подход гарантира, че вашия чесън ще получава пълноценно, балансирано хранене от момента на засаждане до прибиране на реколтата. Това е именно най-доброто подхранване на почвата, което ще превърне скромните ви лехи в истински конвейер за производство на едър, здрав и невероятно вкусен чесън. И това е само началото. Now let's cast our gaze a little higher, to the very framework of our garden, to what gives it structure and volume year-round, our trees and shrubs. Autumn is the perfect time to turn our attention to them. During the summer, lush foliage often conceals hidden issues, but now, with the leaves fallen, all their imperfections are laid bare and clearly visible. This is our chance to perform a thorough inspection and prepare them for winter's challenges. Winter is tough on trees and shrubs. Strong winds, heavy wet snow, freezing rain, all these put immense strain on branches. If there are weak, diseased or broken branches, they might not withstand the pressure and could snap off, causing significant damage to the trunk. This is why autumn tree and shrub care isn't just a whim, it's an absolute necessity. It includes several crucial procedures: sanitation, pruning, trunk cleaning, and of course, the well-known whitewashing. Each of these steps is designed to help our tall friends survive winter healthy and strong, ready to embrace spring with new growth and abundant fruit. Let's break down each stage in order. Представете си, колкото по-мощни са корените, толкова повече хранителни вещества и вода може да извлече растението от почвата. Това е като добре развита водопроводна система, способна да осигури вода за цяла къща. Слабите корени означават слаб чесън, малки глави и ниска устойчивост към засушавания и болести. Силните корени са гаранция, че чесънът ще расте активно, ще формира едри скелитки и ще натрупва полезни вещества, правейки го вкусен и ароматен. И това е едно от основните предимства на нашия метод. Let's begin with some maintenance pruning. Think of it as a dental checkup for your trees. We're removing anything unhealthy to protect the good growth. Grab a sharp saw and a good pair of pruners, then carefully inspect every tree and shrub. Our goal is to remove anything weak or damaged that won't make it through winter, or anything that could pose a risk. So what exactly are we looking for? First, identify any dead, dry, or broken branches. These are useless and can easily snap off under the weight of snow, potentially damaging healthy bark beneath. Second, look for branches showing clear signs of disease, things like cankers, unusual spots, or abnormal swellings. These are breeding grounds for infection, and can quickly spread illness. Third, remove branches that are growing inwards, crossing over, or rubbing against each other within the canopy. These conflicts create friction and wounds on the bark, leaving open entry points for pests and diseases. When cutting these branches, make sure to prune them back to the branch collar, leaving no stub. For any larger cuts, especially those over 2 centimetres, about 3/4 of an inch in diameter, it's crucial to seal them with a tree wound dressing or specialised pruning paint. This protects the fresh wound from moisture and prevents infections from taking hold. This kind of autumn cleanup doesn't just improve the tree's health, it also enhances light penetration and air circulation, providing excellent disease prevention for the upcoming season. And now, for another crucial aspect that many mistakenly view as purely decorative, the whitewashing of tree trunks. You've likely seen those distinctive white-painted trees along roadsides or in city parks and thought they were just for aesthetics, perhaps to keep things tidy. However, whitewashing actually serves 2 vital protective functions, especially for young trees with tender bark. The primary and most crucial role is protection against both sunburn and frost cracks. In late winter and early spring, when snow still blankets the ground but the sun's intensity grows, a dangerous phenomenon takes place. During the day, the tree's dark bark absorbs a lot of heat from the sun, only to cool down drastically at night. These extreme temperature swings cause deep fissures to form in the bark, known as frost cracks. White, as we know from physics, is an excellent reflector of sunlight. A whitewashed trunk prevents overheating, significantly minimising the risk of such damage. The second function is pest control. High-quality whitewash often contains fungicides and insecticides that eradicate larvae and spores overwintering in bark crevices. So, far from being just cosmetic, whitewashing acts as a tree's all-in-one sunscreen and protective shield. For the fly anglers, larger flies are the ticket. Think robust nymphs and streamers that present a substantial meal. And here's a little secret. October also brings pretty regular hatches of mayfly on the rivers and chironomid on the lakes. So have some dry fly options ready for those surface feeders. Remember, these fish are less wary early in the season, so don't be shy. Next, let's turn our attention to the coast for New Zealand's most popular catch, snapper. Spring is when they really start to gather in larger numbers, particularly around the North Island's iconic spots like the Hauraki Gulf, the Bay of Islands, and the Coromandel regions. Look for them around reefs, drop-offs, and even in slightly shallower coastal areas as they move in to feed. For tactics, soft plastics fished slowly on the retrieve are deadly, as are slow jigs. If you're a traditionalist, fresh pilchards or squid will always get their attention. The key is to be patient and let your bait or lure work its magic near the bottom. This is the start of a fantastic season for these fighters. And let's not forget the ever-active aka Hawaii. These energetic schoolfish are generally keen to feed in the warming spring waters. You'll find them patrolling coastal waters, estuaries, and harbour mouths, often busting up bait fish schools on the surface. Keep an eye out for those frenzied feeding signs, my advice. Arm yourself with metal lures. Slicers or small jigs are perfect. Small, soft plastics can also be very effective. Work them with a fast, erratic retrieve to mimic a panicking bait fish, and you'll likely be rewarded with a spirited fight. Now for the nitty-gritty. The conditions for New Zealand on Wednesday, the 15th of October, 2025. The weather. We're squarely in the unpredictable embrace of New Zealand spring. And let's not forget about the green carpet beneath our feet, the lawn. Just like all the other plants in your garden, your lawn is actively preparing for winter, and it needs our help to get through it. Many people mistakenly believe that you can simply leave your lawn alone in the fall, but that's a common misconception. Proper autumn care is the key to ensuring that come spring, you'll be greeted by a lush, emerald green lawn rather than patchy, yellowed grass. So, what steps should you take? First up, it's time for the final mow of the season. Aim to do this about 2 to 3 weeks before the first anticipated frost. giving the grass enough time to recover and strengthen before winter sets in. And here's a crucial tip. Do not cut it too short. The optimal height for this final mow is approximately 5 to 7 centimetres, or about 2 to 3 inches. Cutting it too short will weaken the grass, making it vulnerable to freezing and winter damage. On the other hand, leaving it too long can cause it to mat down under the snow, creating a perfect breeding ground for fungal diseases like snow mould. Finally, after this last mow, make sure to thoroughly rake your lawn. This means clearing away all the clippings and any accumulated old thatch. This crucial step improves air and light circulation to the grass roots, which is essential for a healthy dormancy period and successful overwintering. After your lawn has been neatly mown and raked, it's the perfect time for a very beneficial, yet often overlooked task. This process is called aeration. It might sound complicated, but it's actually quite simple. All you'll need is a standard garden fork. Go over your entire lawn, pushing the tines into the turf about 10 to 15 centimetres deep. Why is this important? Throughout summer, the soil beneath your lawn gets heavily compacted from foot traffic, rain and watering. This makes it difficult for grass roots to breathe and for water and nutrients to penetrate deeply. Aeration is precisely what solves this problem. The holes create channels in the soil, allowing air, moisture and autumn fertilizers to reach the roots. Think of it as a deep breath for your lawn before the long winter. This simple procedure significantly improves drainage, prevents waterlogging and ice crust formation, and most importantly, strengthens the root system. In spring, a well-aerated lawn will wake up much faster, be thicker, and more resistant to diseases. It's a straightforward action that will bring immense benefits to your green carpet. Now that the surface is tidy, it's time to turn our attention to what truly matters: the soil. The soil isn't just dirt, it's a living organism, and its health and fertility will determine 90% of your future success. And autumn is the absolute best time to lay the foundation for that fertility. Throughout the summer, plants actively drew nutrients from the soil, leaving it depleted by autumn. Our task now is to replenish what we've taken. So why autumn specifically? Firstly, our garden beds are now clear after the harvest. Secondly, any organic matter you add now will have the entire winter to slowly decompose and transform into forms readily available for your plants. By spring, your soil will be loose, well-structured and packed with nutrients. Spring digging and fertilization often don't achieve the same results because organic materials simply don't have enough time to work their magic. So right now, we're not just digging, we're preparing a rich, nourishing cushion for our future plantings. It's one of the most labour-intensive, but also one of the most rewarding tasks of the autumn season. This effort will pay back in spades, yielding healthy plants and a bountiful harvest. All right, let's get practical. We'll start by digging. On your cleared garden beds, dig the soil deeply, about a spade's depth. Here's a crucial autumn tip. Do not break up the soil clumps. Leave them as they are. Why? Winter frost will penetrate these clumps, effectively breaking them down and making the soil loose and well-structured. Additionally, any pest larvae brought to the surface won't survive the freezing temperatures. While you're digging, it's also the perfect time to incorporate fertilizers. Autumn is ideal for organic matter. This could be well-rotted manure, compost, or humus. Distribute it evenly over the surface of the bed before digging. If organic matter isn't available, use mineral fertilizers instead. But it's crucial to choose fertilizers specifically formulated for autumn. These formulations contain minimal nitrogen, which isn't needed in autumn, and a maximum of phosphorus and potassium. These elements are crucial for strengthening root systems, increasing frost resistance, and preparing for next year's harvest. By applying fertilizers now, you are essentially feeding the soil, ensuring it has the nutrients to nourish your plants come spring. Autumn isn't just about harvesting and preparing for winter. It's also a fantastic time for planting. Yes, you heard that right. Some crops actually thrive when sown in late autumn, and this gives them a significant head start. There's a real magic to it. You took a small bulb into the cold, dormant earth, And then in spring, as soon as the snow melts, it's among the first to awaken, yielding a harvest weeks earlier than if planted in spring. We're talking, of course, primarily about fall-planted garlic. Cloves planted in the autumn have ample time to establish roots before the ground freezes solid. Throughout winter, they undergo a natural cold stratification process, which makes them hardier and more productive. The result? Large, healthy garlic bulbs, ready for harvest much earlier. The same principle applies to certain varieties of onion sets. Planting them in the fall means you'll enjoy early green onions and robust bulbs. The key, however, is choosing the right planting window. You need to get them in the ground before consistent, hard frost set in, allowing the small bulbs to root but not sprout. It's essentially a head start on next season's bounty, one you're laying the groundwork for right now. But now, let's talk about beauty. If you want your garden to be among the first in the neighbourhood to burst forth with vibrant spring colours, then now is the time to act. Autumn is the golden season for planting bulbs. Tulips, daffodils, crocuses, hyacinths, muscari. They all need that period of winter chill to develop their flower buds. By planting them now, you're essentially kick-starting nature's process. The bulb will snuggle into the soil, establish its roots, and patiently wait for its moment. Then come spring, as soon as the soil begins to warm, it will rapidly shoot up, offering you that much anticipated first bloom. It's a true miracle, one you've created with your own hands. Imagine this. The world around is still bleak and grey, but in your flower bed, tulips are already ablaze and daffodils glow like captured sunshine. That magical moment is absolutely worth the effort you put in this autumn. Choose healthy, firm bulbs. Plant them at the correct depth, typically about 3 times the height of the bulb itself, and a spring fairy tale is guaranteed. It's your most beautiful investment in the season to come. So we've talked about the plants and the soil, but our garden is more than just living nature. It's also home to all those helpful tools and pieces of equipment that served us well throughout the summer. Now it's time to turn our attention to the more practical side of things, our garden tools and equipment. If we don't, spring could greet us with some nasty surprises. Think burst rain barrels and split hoses. The biggest enemy of all outdoor containers and equipment during winter is water. More precisely, it's ice. Remember your basic physics lessons. Water expands when it freezes, and that expansive force is powerful enough to burst even thick plastic or metal. Picture a rain barrel with just a small amount of water left at the bottom. Over winter, that water will turn to ice, easily pushing out the bottom or cracking the sides. The same fate awaits your garden hose, watering can, or drip irrigation system. That's why one of the most crucial rules for fall preparation is to drain all water from everywhere. This simple yet critically important step will save you from unnecessary and often significant expenses come spring. So, let's go through all the places where water might still be lurking. Let's begin with the basics. Water barrels, buckets, watering cans, and any other containers used for collecting water. Empty them completely and turn them upside down to prevent water from collecting and freezing inside. If you can't turn them over, simply cover them securely. Next up, your hoses. Disconnect them from the spigots, lift one end, and allow all the water to drain out completely. Then, carefully coil your hoses into neat loops and store them in a shed or garage, away from direct sunlight. Never leave hoses lying on the ground. Any water left to freeze in the bends and kinks will inevitably cause cracks. Special attention is required for automatic irrigation systems. These need to be blown out with compressed air using a compressor to clear all water from the pipes and nozzles. Failing to do so can lead to irreparable damage to your expensive equipment. Also, don't forget to drain the water from pumps and filters. Spending just half an hour on these tasks now will save you thousands of rubles and a lot of headaches come springtime. And of course, our trusty garden tools have earned their rest and some much needed TLC. Shovels, rakes, pruners, hose. They've worked tirelessly all summer long, and leaving them dirty and rusty for winter is a cardinal sin in gardening. Proper care won't just extend their lifespan for years, it will also make your spring gardening tasks much more enjoyable. First things first, cleaning. grab a wire brush and thoroughly scrub off all caked-on soil, clay and plant debris from their working surfaces. Next, rinse the tools with water and wipe them completely dry with a cloth. Don't let them air dry, as this can lead to rust. The next step is sharpening. A sharp tool is half the battle. Autumn is the perfect time to unhurriedly sharpen the blades of your pruners, loppers and shovels. Finally, the most crucial step, lubrication. Take any machine grease or specialised tool oil and apply a thin layer to all metal parts. This will create a protective film that won't give rust a single chance. Wooden handles can also be treated with linseed oil to prevent them from drying out and cracking. Your tools will thank you next spring when they sparkle like new. Finally, the last and often overlooked item on our outdoor maintenance checklist, your outdoor pots, planters and containers. During summer, they brought joy with their vibrant floral displays, but now they sit empty and forlorn. It's tempting to simply leave them be until spring. However, this can be a fatal mistake, especially for those made of clay, ceramic or concrete. The culprit is the same old problem, freezing water. Over autumn, the soil inside the pots absorbs moisture from the rain. When temperatures drop below freezing, this saturated soil will transform into a solid block of ice. As it expands, it will exert immense pressure on the container's interior walls. The result is predictable. Even the most robust pot can crack or shatter into pieces. Come spring, instead of a beautiful planter, you might find nothing but a pile of shattered fragments. So, the rule is simple. All outdoor containers must be emptied for winter storage. Tip out any old soil. You can, by the way, spread this soil over your garden beds or add it to your compost pile. Thoroughly clean the pots themselves, wash them down, and ensure they are completely dry. Once dry, store them in a shed, basement, or any other dry, sheltered area. This way, they're guaranteed to last you for many seasons to come. So once all 12 steps are complete, it might feel like the season's over, the work is done, and you can simply rest until spring. But the most crucial, the 13th invisible item on our checklist, isn't an action at all. It's a realization that you've just made the most significant investment in your future garden. You weren't just clearing debris, you were eliminating future diseases. You weren't just covering your roses, you were promising them a burst of spring blooms. You weren't just turning over the soil, you were preparing a welcoming bed for future plants. Every step on this full checklist isn't an end to the old season, but rather the true beginning of a new one. Quite a twist, wouldn't you say? The most vital work for spring is actually done in the fall. All these fall tasks aren't just routine. They're an act of care and foresight, an investment of your time and effort into future beauty and abundance. You are literally programming your garden for success. Thank you for watching this video all the way to the end. If our checklist was helpful, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more tips. What's your most important fall garden ritual? Did we miss anything? Let us know in the comments below. Let's discuss.